Hello again, everybody. It's time for game number one, Na'Vi versus Outsiders. Now, the big conversation topic for today is who can make it to the major. Na'Vi technically can, but it's a very low chance. Outsiders have a much higher chance, but Outsiders can just watch the chaos and collect 3 points. If they collect 3 points, okay, awesome, good day, it can work out well. However, should Na'Vi win, it's going to be a good time for literally every other team that's here in the league. So let's discuss that. Hello, welcome back to the desk. I'm Milosh. With me are Anne and Fresh Jack. What are you thinking about this? It's pretty wild.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. I'm thinking in previous stages, a Na'Vi against Outsiders really wouldn't have whet my appetite. But today, I cannot wait for this game because it has so many connotations on Na'Vi for the major, on Outsiders for the major, on Heroic and M&M for the major, and it's first up.
Yes, and not just because they played against each other before and it wasn't that exciting of a matchup, but they've also changed their roster a lot since having played against each other as of recently. Yeah. Both teams indeed changed their rosters up a lot, so it's like a complete new matchup that we'll be seeing today.
Yeah, so let's introduce these two teams very quickly. Now, I'll talk to you again, Jack, about this because you mentioned at the start of the stage when we were sitting down on the other side of our studio saying Na'Vi got the best of it all. They got the new fresh players in the team. These are players that, given enough time, will really, be out there. Is this still the case?
That is absolutely still the case, Milosh. And when the team card comes up, what I want you to focus on is their last two results. Their last two results in the bottom right of your screen, 7-0 against G2, then a big loss going up against BDS. And I think this is pretty much what I perceived. But Na'Vi have been competitive with every team so far, apart from BDS. They've got their own expectations tapered. If you ask them in their heart of hearts, do they think they can make the major? No. Do they realistically want to make the major? Probably. But they will be happy with not going, so they can build for the long term, so they can build to try and have a run at SI, so they can build for the next year. Because this roster, it's got everything. It really has. I genuinely believe that. It's got balance, it's got dynamic, it's got counter strategy, it's got really good core strategy, it's got ratty plays, it's got explosive plays, it's got absolutely everything. It's got clutch ability. There's nothing this roster currently cannot do. And it genuinely excites me for the future.
Exactly, yeah. Whereas they played like a training grounds against G2, they then got put back to reality by BDS last week as well. For them, it's up to recover from that loss this week. They seem to shine on defense a lot. They'll need to work on their attacks though they have this very consistent plan factor in the form of Kayak on their team. And you mentioned the clutch ability as well. They'll have Leader who gets clutches after clutches. But yeah, a team that we look forward to see what they can do in the future. It is a work in progress, but yeah, they still have a decent shot at making it to the major. And winning today, like you mentioned as well, would put a lot of other teams in decent spots too.
I mean, watch out. Like you said, Na'Vi, BG2, 7-0. They're the up-and-comers, fresh new players that can do a lot. Next up, G2 will buy out the roster.
That's been the way. They've already taken Citizen and Doki, right? And Blur.
I mean, might as well at this point. But moving on then to their opponents, Outsiders today, and because they seem to improve on many of the mistakes that they've had earlier in the stage.
Exactly, yeah, and especially last week they won against TT9, which was a really important game for them, considering it was a little bit of a revenge tour for some of these players playing against former teammate Cider, and especially Dan had a really good game last week. He was really sat in those power positions that he utilized very well, and the team played off very good too. Now, we know that this team is known for their very passive and at that point maybe a little bit frustrating playstyle that we see them bring out every now and then. I'm just really curious what Na'Vi can show to the table in regards of playing against such a slow and frustrating playstyle.
I think I say this all the time, is that if you're not tip-top, especially if you're going to play execute-based Siege against Outsiders' defenses, you have to be all over it. You either have to go full cheese or be all over the executes. Anything in between, Outsiders will win their defenses. What I've liked is actually their attacks. Their attacks have improved significantly from Stage 2. Stage 2 Outsiders was so slow on their attacks. So slow, no drones inside the building. They had to be forced into doing a full clear every single time they attacked. Dan and Always, you can see a tangible difference in their attacks. They've increased the pace of the attacks, they've increased the opportunity spot, they've increased the plant rates, and their attacks is actually where Outsiders are now winning those games rather than just pushing teams close.
Yes, and we know Outsiders plays passive, and they utilize, for example, a Kate really good to keep hatches closed against Rogue on Bank. They used the Goyo very well to delay time a lot, But if we think back about the interview that Na'Vi or Skitty did after the G2 game, it also shows that they really know how to prepare against a certain team. They really read into what type of playstyle that team brings in the table, and they prepare certain types of playstyles, like against G2. They're very open and wide defenses. So I'm just really curious what Na'Vi will bring to the table to counter that passive playstyle.
Well, what did you two predict map-wise for this before we pull up the maps?
Do you know what? Both teams have really big map pools. I do a statistical prediction, and then I interpret that to get to a final map. My statistical prediction basically says these maps are possible. It gave me 5. Genuinely, these two teams have just massive map pools and really varied banning strategy.
And
I had Clubhouse, maybe, as there's not a lot that can go wrong on this map. It's not too big, it's not too complex, especially if you're playing against a team that is really passive on defense, for example. It's good for both teams within the basics.
let's see which one we actually got. I know it's a tough one.
I thought no
for these
confidence
two.
in this
no
prediction.
Clubhouse.
And we're going to get border for it. Okay, that's the complete opposite of what's expected. But hey, did you expect it?
No, I didn't.
Is it the one that was not expected?
It's in there. It's in the 5 out of 9 that I said was statistically possible. I think Border, it's a reasonably high preference map for both teams, but neither team has been to it at least this stage. I can't remember Na'Vi, and again, it's kind of irrelevant thinking about stage 2 and 1 because these teams have had such different changes in their playstyle into stage 3.
But Outsiders ban out Bank, Skyscraper, and Border, and I mentioned them specifically because of the playstyle that you two were talking about.
Yep.
Does it make sense, or is it just we're prepared for Border because we want to change up against Na'Vi?
Yeah, completely. My main concern for this map and phase in general was that we were going to end up on a very big map. And knowing how Outsiders play, they can either pull off a very big roam or they sit on site with all of you. It's very difficult for Na'Vi, for example, to estimate, oh, are we going to have to do a full roam clear? Can we just take the site? And if we were going to end up on such a big map, there were going to be gaps in the defense, for example, for both teams as well, that the other team can, well, capitalize off. So I'm happy we got to a map which isn't that big. It still has roaming potential, but it's not the biggest map in the pool.
I think stylistically, this will work better for Na'Vi. Every time we've seen a Russian team on Border, they've brought operators where you think, that's not a Border operator. They've brought Tachanka, they've brought Echo, they've brought, time denial. It doesn't work. For Outsiders' defenses, that's where I worry, because, like we say, they like to be so passive. With Border, you can't be passive. You've got to be so aggressive at the entrances for any attack and map control. So for me, it's all about the Na'Vi attack, Outsiders defense. Whoever wins that half, in my opinion, wins the game.
Well, if you're a Na'Vi fan, you obviously want the team to win it out. Going to overtime would be awful for both of them, Outsiders especially, because that would absolutely smash their, I guess, potential to make it to the major. Same goes for Na'Vi as well. You're looking for straight up wins in this, and if you're a fan of literally any team that is not Outsiders, you're probably rooting for Na'Vi in this one. So let's see how it goes. Fresh Ann, thank you very much. Let's go directly into our game. It's Border, an odd one. Let's see if questions will be answered with Demo and XR Troika. Enjoy.
Welcome everybody to Playdate number 8. Thank you very much to Milosh. Demo, are you in the mood to answer any questions?
Of what would be the question being asked?
I don't know. I'm sure we could come up with some, couldn't we?
Sure.
Some riddles, perhaps?
Riddles?
Potentially.
Like my Gollum, is that what you see me as? Someone who likes riddles?
I don't know. It's a friendly question.
Yeah, Milos called this was going to be a bit of an odd game. You've got two odd people casting this, so I think you got a good coverage here at the moment.
Well. Not much in it there, is there? The old social vote, 55 to 45. Na'Vi leading ever so slightly there. And I think that represents probably what we're going to see here.
Yeah.
Border is a strange old place, Demo.
It is. It is, in my opinion, just so inconsistent as a map. You really don't know how this map's going to play out. I'm sure you can have an idea where it's just going to be a lot of kills, but the consistency of finding kills isn't always the easiest, as we know. Generally, it will be determined on how good teams can attack. I think Border being a very compact, very small map, it is sometimes difficult, I think, to get in the building, first off, and actually establish a bit of a beachhead, to say. And I think for the attackers, if you've got someone who can read the game really well and can see a weakness in a defense, that's the way you need to basically probe, see what's weak, and then hit that with everything. I think Border, you need to commit to attacks. That's kind of the way we see Ying's Glass. You think of Armory. You think of the Archives plant where you get the smokes in, Monty plants, yada, yada, yada. Those are the kind of plays that you see. You need to see commitment. I think trying to go for roam clear on Border, it's difficult. I think there's a lot of operators that make it tricky. I think if Azami is let through, then you look at CCTV room. that's going to be a bit of an issue to get through, isn't it? Oh, well, Azami's gone. But, I mean, you've got operators there like Mira, for example, is opened up. We've seen a good deal of Castle as well, making his way into border. So there is, you know, there's operators there that you have to work through, and it can sometimes be difficult to really hinder these roam presence that, you know, you see set up inside of security. If it's the basement, think customs extensions.
No surprise to see the Dokubi ban coming out there, Ying ban as well. I think stylistically, in terms of a map, this probably preferences Na'Vi more than Outsiders, in my opinion. Given Outsiders' nature on their defense, where they do like to play quite AFK.
Yeah, they do. And I mean, that's the way I think you have to play on border sometimes, isn't it?
But also, that is the only way you can play on border,
Yeah.
so attackers therefore are used to dealing with it very quickly.
Navi's a smart team. I think they've shown that. They can pull off some pretty clean attacks. It's just how good are they prepared, I think, for this map. Obviously, Navi starting the defense, we'll start to see how they've actually prepped for it in terms of the attacking side. But I think, like the Des mentioned, it's a map that both these teams, they're happy enough to play it, but they never got the chance to.
I mean, it's a good job that Jack isn't the analyst for Navi, isn't it? Because he had 5 maps that he was picking between them.
Yep.
Sure, border was one of them, but I don't think anyone really expected.
It's a big game for, you know, for someone who's sitting there and slagging on Fabian. Go and do it on our team, Jack. You get in the hot seat. Let's see how you deal. See how Fabian, see him criticize you instead.
We did just get a glimpse of the percentages there, and whilst the percentages aren't incredibly high, around 40 to 50%, it still means quite a lot in terms of the context and, of course, other fixtures that will go in and around this. And with this being our penultimate Playday, there is still a chance for both of these two teams to make it to the major. Everything nice and close, just exactly the way that we like it.
Certainly. So, Navi bringing in Castle, which I think, again, as expected, is going to be a difficult operator that you have to try and move through if you are Outsiders. They look to go very default. They have created a minefield out there in the old front door, Ollie.
Do you think they're expecting a run out, Dale?
I think they're expecting something. 1 run out, 3 run outs, they're ready for it nonetheless. This looks to be very default, isn't it, at the moment for Outsiders? A very slow and steady approach. They're, again, looking for options. They're going to start the utility burn. They will try and challenge this hold inside of security. Of course, it makes it easier whenever you know you're not up against an Azami, but there's still going to be ADSs, castle barricades, mute jammers, a lot of things you need to work for. And this is sometimes the issues that we see teams fall into with border. That's where we've seen actually office takes be a lot more successful, because taking this room, there may be a lot of doorways and windows, but getting onto them is tricky.
CCTV was a nightmare before Azami was even conceived, and it will continue to be a nightmare as long as Azami is banned. It is a very difficult place to try and breach into. We've seen that demonstrated there just by how much utility has been spent already and how little has been returned. Dan potentially going to be getting himself taken out there, but Teb does put a couple of points of damage in. The first kill, however, goes in favor of Outsiders. Pasha is able to take down Nath. But just look at how many pockets of safety Navi have still got to work around here. Sure, we've got Kayak in on the side, but Teb is very unknown right now. He's actually made a full rotation and got himself into the small break room. Now he's got a chance to try and peek out. Going to get caught there in the lion scan, eventually swung, but a direct trade.
Oh, Skitty looking for the refrag, but Pasha's done so well to get that second kill for himself. That's a massive one, Ollie. That's really shifted the tide in favor of Outsiders. They have 45 seconds to go. They have security. They know one is at least on site. They don't know where the other player is. They don't know where leader is. This should just be nice and slow, nice and steady, establish some good crossfires, which I see a really good rotate from Always over on that ventilation window. That's just going to cut off the site. It's going to mean that leader can no longer help Kayak, but maybe he doesn't need to help Always. He's found a kill in sight.
Certainly not the way you want to start trying to trade out a man advantage is by losing someone for nothing. Don't forget, leader's still got a C4 in pocket, but it's not going to matter. Always, he picks himself at 1 and pre-fires for the second. Kayak shuts him down, but eventually Rask swings in. That pinch, that pressure from both sides being applied quite nicely from Outsiders to round out round number 1.
Yeah, that Skitty kill, I think, was the big one, wasn't it? Only that really shifted the direction of where that round was headed. If it was a good refrag from Skitty, then it's a 3 versus 3.
I think it was a good play from Skitty.
They lose their pressure from reach stairs. You know, I think, well, that's the way Navi were set up. They were looking for the refrags, weren't they?
Yeah. You got to make the play.
Don't do it.
You have. If Skitty doesn't make the play there, we call him out for being AFK.
I'm going to start suing you for every time you use my phrase. Do you ever see me using one of your signature phrases?
Attackers need to
The classics such as...
Turnabout.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
What else do you say? You don't stick to many one-liners.
The variety. It's the spice of life, though.
You're just a shuffle playlist, are you? That's what I call casting. Just the album.
Just plug me in and click shuffle. See what you get. Get in the mirror this time.
Yep. I was expecting that to come in. I think you need a little bit more control of the map, which I think Mira brings you, isn't it? Gives you the vision, kind of scares away attackers from many instances. Hopefully Navi have realized and seen the way Outsiders have played that. Just slow. That's the way Outsiders describe their playstyle. It worked for them, sure, but now it's up to Navi adapting to that. Because realistically, for Outsiders, if Navi are just sitting still and not swinging, which I would say there was a few times there where Navi were caught out because they were looking for the kills, Outsiders would struggle. It's a thing that we've kind of came back to about Outsiders is they are sometimes stuck in their ways in terms of the old meta where you just sit and wait for something to happen. You have to be proactive now in the attack because there is so many good defenders at the moment where you can just set up shop, just apply a lot of utility denial and then go from there. You have to always be the aggressor as the attackers. So I think if Navi can play their cards right and really set up for that, then they should have no issues. That's a good pick from Milan. That gets rid of an ADS. And as we know, for these castle barricades, you want to make sure you can deny any of the Ash breaching rounds. If there was gone 6s, you want to make sure that you have that protection. So that's a bit of an issue there for Navi, but hopefully it shouldn't be too much of an issue.
The ADS saved a little bit of time last time for Navi, didn't it? I think that Outsiders were maybe a little bit lax in how they chose to deal with that. This time they're going for a much more direct focus. The Twitch,
mirror window,
of course, is being brought for the mirror window as well, but it isn't going to be found. That's both Twitch drones down.
Oh dear. Yikes.
Looks as though we're stuck in a mute jammer.
This is
hey,
I was going to say, how good your casting skills?
I mean, Easy saved it there, hasn't he?
He's done well, old Easy. So this is the office take now, but now you're pushing into a mirror window. I don't know if I personally agree with the way that Outsiders establish themselves, because generally if you know you're up against mirror windows, Armory's still probably the better option for yourself, but I don't know, this is what I mean about Outsiders. It just seems very slow, very mundane. They're waiting for Navi to move, but Skiddy, for example, what does he need to do? Absolutely nothing.
Second kill going to come in here for Navi. It's going to do something to alleviate a lot of that pressure, removing that soft destruction in the Sledge and the Ash. Of course, any nades gone as well, and I think always potentially died with 2 nades in pocket there, so pretty unforgivable stuff. Skiddy is going to be very safe behind this mirror window. Sure, he can get full whited, but the cover is there. Leader picks up his second on the round, just providing that needed support here for Skiddy, as people do tend to hop in through that single. Will be there with a trade. Leader eventually falls, but Skiddy isn't finished there. Milan takes him down, but is left in the clutches, greeted by a castle barricade. His only option really is to push through break. A little bit of barb to give away some sound, and he knows that he's going to be coming up against more obstacles here. Looking for the peek over that small little half wall there, and he will find it briefly, but doesn't manage to connect. That F2 not being too kind for him. Navi, it really is a case of sit and wait. You can just see how funneled Milan is here. He's literally got no option, and Navi know it. Navi know exactly where he's going to be pushing into, and Nafe will collect the final kill.
He's walked into a trap, hasn't he, Ollie? He's seen he looked behind him. Oh, hold on a minute.
Another castle barricade.
I'm stuck.
How many of these things have they got?
Much better from Navi. You just have to sit back and let Outsiders beat themselves. Isn't it? That's as easy as you can put it.
The fact that we didn't see any castle barricades dealt with in a meaningful way. So much focus on the mirror window. Was the whole round resting and hinging on those Twitch drones? I kind of felt like it.
I just don't know why they don't commit to going for security.
Go below, use nades, do something.
That's true. Nobody from Outsiders has stepped foot downstairs at all. But yeah, I mean, those are the kind of rounds that Navi should be winning. Whenever Outsiders are playing like that, you should be capitalizing.
Yeah. I think Navi did a great job.
Yeah.
I remember, you'll have been there, we did an interview with Cameraman back in the BR6 days, and he said, we were like, what did you do in this situation or something? And he was like, I just told the team to take the hand off the keyboard. Yeah. Like, you can use the mouse hand, but just take your hand off the keyboard. Don't be pressing that WASD. Don't be moving yourself around, because you don't need to. And that was a good example of it. Navi had set up shop. Outsiders didn't deal with it. Guess what? Yeah. Navi come away with the round.
Yeah, and one thing I want to touch upon, just borders the map, is obviously you see it's very slow from the attacker perspective. Defenders just kind of sit back and don't really do anything. The thing is, I see with sometimes in the defenses of border, one pick can be crucial to topple the tower. How many times have we seen somebody be taken out in a power position that was supposed to be holding across for somebody else, they get taken out and the whole thing's done. That's one thing you will say, though, about the defenses in border. So if Navi, if you look at the first round, they were given picks. They were letting these positions get taken out, and there's nothing they could really do from there. This time, they gave Outsiders nothing.
Kayak playing games here with the old opponent detected outside. He is likely thrown an alibi clone out, potentially onto the roof or just somewhere out of harm's way. It's just going to be a bit of an annoyance for these attackers. He's set up inside of Armory. He's got half of the wall reinforced and is looking to play relatively aggressively. He's keeping a good eye on the rotation that he's got there. Drones now working their way through. Lion scan to pin the defenders in place. A little bit of a pre-fire there, but it won't net anything. Finally, we see that annoyance removed.
I like the Legion pickup. I think that's, if you think about the kind of setup Navi are going for, it is going to be a ventilation and workshop hold. They're going to go for the roam game. They're extending very heavily across most of that top floor. There's going to be a lot of ways in. Goomines are going to be your best friend. You have those sound cues. It means you don't have to have somebody sat in position because you know the Goomine's got you covered.
Selma, first one gets impacted off. The second one, well, half of it gets impacted off. Dan did a reasonable job there of trying to keep himself alive. But again, we're just blindly throwing utility in Denver. It's getting caught. Kayak will find himself down. Teb dodges his way out of the grenade and he will be swung as well. So for Outsiders, the utility game might not be on point, but the gun skill certainly is. Managed to net themselves a kill and a down on another. Kayak eventually will be revived. Not quite sure how he's managed to get away with that, but he has since dropped down. This top floor control is fast disappearing from Navi's hands.
I think Skitty's going to be caught in a landslide here in a minute. He's getting pressured from both angles. He just has to play for the kills, but no, gets nothing at all. Navi down 2 players. Dan did a great job there, just saying, what are we doing? We need to get in Armory here, and then he just pushed in, takes a swing against Teb, has done really well to establish control for Outsiders. Naif does get 1 kill back. Kayaks actually went for the flank up east there. Remember, he was downed in sight for a period there, Ollie, so you can see the game plan from Navi is we need to go for the retake. We need to get these kills back. We cannot allow Outsiders just set up. But Outsiders, they have them beat, Ollie. Great read there from Elon Ras. Straight in, getting the plant down, cover from above. And Naif, can he do anything? He gets a down. There's 1 kill, but 3 more to find along with a defuse.
A lot of work for Nath to do here. He's going to shotgun open the wall and meet his end, always. Didn't need much of an invitation. He roughly knew where Nath was, and shotgun through the wall and the peekaboo on the other side was all that was required. I think Navi are in a tough spot there. They're almost forced into the retake because you lose top floor control. You've lost the site. You cannot hold. If the sledge is alive and ripping open the floor, there is nothing that you can then do. You have to vacate the site, try and retake up the staircases. Outsiders, they took the initiative there. It wasn't perfect. You know, we criticised the nade getting caught in the whammy. We criticised a little bit around the, you know, the impact tricking on the breach. But I think that Dan showed a great,
of course he did, yeah.
We need to make a play here, and I'm going to push in and be
That's why he's been brought in, to help that. We know the caliber of Dan. You know, everyone talks about, I know I'm also a victim of that, where we talk about, oh, Spoit, the rookie, oh, the best rookie I've ever seen. Hold on a minute. People forget, this man was doing that before Spoit. He came into his first ever season. He went and he won a finals. You know, we forget about how good Dan has been and the pedigree that this man has carried. You know, back-to-back championships he won, for goodness sake, Ollie.
Are you saying there's some bias?
No bias, I'm just saying that, you know, you have to give him credit where credit's due at the end of the day. I know Dan's very highly rated across the professional scene. You know, we also, whenever he wasn't playing for the first 2 stages, you know, we've seen the support for professionals and you know, everything that went involved into that. But no, he's a great player. I think that shows just that little bit of a, what are we doing, guys? You know, we need to get in there, and he did that. And again, similar issues there for Navi. 1 piece is out of the play, and that's it. It's done. And that's kind of what you've seen. It was just individual picks. They couldn't really get any footing inside of that round.
We're going to see a little bit of pulse here. Skitty hasn't had the best game so far.
Maybe lacking a bit of info. That's why Navi have went for the pulse pickup. Can be great at just that early information to see where Outsiders are going to be setting up their pushes. Outsiders, again, very one-directional. If they want one side of the map, they'll all go for it. We're not really seeing the same level of crouch walking that maybe other teams would employ. And I mean, sure, they certainly do have players who could do that, but Outsiders at the moment are very dedicated for a bit more of a traditional style where you just commit to one side.
And then the pulse plays quite nicely into that. Skitty's able to feed a lot of this information over and across to Teb, who's playing upstairs inside of CCTV. Got a bit of an angle there on the window and can look maybe for a tad more. Will get an opportunity, but doesn't pull the trigger. Interestingly, lets always pass. Now, with these hatches open, that is a bit of a risky play. Of course, the C4 is going to be in hand there for Skitty, so he can choose to use it. But you'd like to kind of save that for a little bit later on into the round. He can still continue to feed this information around. If he does go for the C4, it needs to be a guarantee almost at this point. But equally, he can call that the players have since left. Outsiders dipping themselves into security, not really liking what they've seen, and are instead going to try and focus into Armory.
So this time from Navi, a little bit more of a let them have it technique, I suppose, where they're just trying to play off that information. Keep in mind that Outsiders, they still have a lot of work to do. They don't have any control inside of Workshop as of yet, so moving in towards Bathroom's going to be a no-no until they gain control of that side of the map. Pulse are now rotated into said Workshop to try and assist them. Bit more information, NEC 4 kills perhaps, and Dan will spot one, but keep in mind, Dan's by himself. A good time swing here from Navi could eliminate him, and it will do that. Teb with a great shot, and there's that initiative from Outsiders. It's gone. Who else is going to step up to the plate now?
Oh, great little run out there from Nate. He's going to find himself one, hop himself down and jump back into sight. Just misses the one punch there on the barricade, but he's still going to be in a speedy manner. Always the next person into the Workshop, and this is one by one. Oh dear, Outsiders. Where is the prowess? Gone. Where is that little bite that you had on those attacks? Milom in the clutches, 1 versus 5, 20 seconds left to go. Don't forget, there's still a Pulse Alive demo feeding all of that information. I think something that we often forget is that Pulse works equally well on the same level as it does working vertically or working down horizontally.
The Pulse
is fantastic. And that's exactly what we saw there in the Workshop. That's how Dan fell. That's how Teb had the information for that swing. Navi playing a blinder there on the info game.
It's just, again, Navi, both rounds they've won, it hasn't been flashy. It hasn't been, oh my God, that's brilliant. But they're doing the job. They're playing the way it's supposed to be. For Outsiders, rushing a step there. Why is Dan pushing in Workshop?
Where are the drones?
Why is he pushing in Workshop without top floor being sledged open for him? What's going on there? Why is that not being relayed? Why is Dan not saying, I'm pushing in Workshop? Maybe it was relayed. Maybe the sledge wasn't there. But that should be opened up. If you know that you have to take Workshop to then take Bathroom, you need to sledge inside of Archives. You need to sledge that portion of the map. Why that wasn't done? I don't know. And it's like the sledge isn't going to get C4'd if Dan's on that door. So why are they scared?
We haven't got the mirror this time. Now we've opted away from the mirror window, which is almost a little bit unusual because it's one of the things that works exceptionally well for them on their second attempt up in Armory. We've gone back to this heavy utility denial. We've gone back to the Wamai, we've gone back to the Castle and the Jaeger. Really looking to soak all of those throwables up.
Attackers must locate and defuse the bomb.
Outsiders taking a slightly different approach. They brought the Flores in the previous round, but they're going to bring it again here and now. They've sacrificed the Nomad for it, though, and we've already seen Navi's willingness to make those little cheeky runouts if the opportunity presents itself.
I think Navi are showing a great use of Castle in this game, haven't they? And just for people who aren't aware of what these Castle barricades are trying to achieve, you're trying to apply layers of protection onto your roamers. We've talked about Border and how it can be sometimes unsafe, especially with Azami being banned out. Castle's going to be the alternative to that. Castle is here to simply deny lines of sight, which is exactly what Azami does. The only thing that you do have to be careful of, though, with these Castle barricades is once they're gone, they're gone. It's not like Azami where if you lose one of your barriers, I'll just put another one up. So that's the only thing you have to be careful of.
Look at Nath here, able to replace the utility as well. Just replaced one of the magnets.
They lose the important one, though. That's the big one that protects Teb.
Teb does still have an ADS here, but is actually going to feel the heat and just dip himself out. This is the hatch being reinforced this time. No option to nade from below. Something that we criticised Outsiders for previously was their lack of want to go underneath when attacking this top floor. And it hasn't really worked out for them too well there, maybe just lacking a little bit of info. Slowly but surely, these castle barricades are going to fall by the wayside, but it does come at a cost of time and utility. Nath, still in a good position here inside of breaks, going to find himself a great shot onto Milon. And look to retreat back to the site. He feels like he's done his job there, Demo. He's going to actually use a pocket reinforcement to just close off that fountain.
Even Teb gone as well. So the two roamers inside of security and break room, they've done their job. Done a very, very good job at slowing down that attack from Outsiders. Outsiders were just so headlocked into, we have to get rid of the castle barricades, we have to open things up. And to be fair, you open up those castle barricades, all of a sudden, Navi, they're feeling quite exposed. But then, they just die. We just see swings come in, we see picks happen for Navi. And again, Navi reading the game very well. If you have that man advantage against Outsiders, you keep it. Because Outsiders, as we know, they'll just start to stop, they'll splutter, and they'll run out of gas.
And you look across at the utility available now for Outsiders and the time. Nothing. Sure, we've got a couple of Selmas, but with no nades, with no more Rotero drones. We've got a couple of drones knocking around between us, but who's going to be in position to get one of those down? Rask finds himself a freebie onto Teb and a second onto Nath. Navi giving themselves up here. Kayak steadies the ship and drags one back, maintaining that man count advantage, but Pasha potentially on the backstab. The beepers are going to give him away here if he pushes through any further, but if he can time this well with Rask, it might work out. Pasha, he's going to find one onto Kayak, and that allows him to hop in. And now Skiddy left in the clutches when realistically he shouldn't.
C4 from below.
Going to be getting now flashed out. We do have the C4 from below. The info, is it going to be there and is it going to be sufficient? It will, but it's not in time. The plant is allowed to go down. Now we have to compose themselves here. They have to regroup and try and close this out. Skiddy does just exactly that. Quick peek there on to Pasha. Plenty of time to defuse.
That bulletproof the whole time was up. Ollie fed out the information. Good retake by Navi, but a little bit sketchy here or there from a 5v3. Losing a couple of bodies there from just...
Could have gone either way there.
You know, it's one of those rounds, a little bit sketchy, but still, it's enough for Navi to get the round. Realistically, you looked at the first two opening kills, the roam game from Navi, you're sitting there and you think, that has to be it, surely as an Outsiders. You know, historically, we know they're not too good from positions on attack where they are behind. And yeah, it's a showcase that, hasn't it? So Outsiders' last attack before they get the shift on to what you'd say is the easier half. But then again, we know Navi on the attacks, they can be brutal, absolutely brutal.
Attackers need to locate.
And Border as a map in itself is often seen as a little bit attack-sided. We're going to get a replay of this great shot from Nath. We get the red outline, players don't. Not a great deal of difference in the colour of the pixels there. Top little C4 from below, look how close that was as well. Half a second or so from actually denying the plant and not even ending up in a retake. But still, the round will be remembered as a Navi one. We go downstairs to the workshop for what will be the final round of Outsiders attack.
Navi got picked apart last time they went down here. The upstairs just crumbled. It was, you know, like a bowling ball going into a poppadom. It was done.
Where's that come from?
What?
Where have you heard that from?
Do you like that one? Is that not a good one?
I mean, I guess.
Structural integrity of a Easter egg on a hot summer's day.
No, you've been
No?
watching too many podcasts.
You're loving that one. Don't lie, you actually think that's actually genius. I should have got that one.
One thing that Navi don't have this time is the pulse. Now, they have been playing the pulse a couple of times, especially for these ground floor defenses, and it's done them reasonably well, just to gather a little bit more of that information, but it really comes down and hinges on how well they're able to hold on to this top floor, because, as we saw last time, retaking the top floor after you've lost the site or after you've vacated the site can be very difficult. Those staircase angles, fairly easy to set flank drones on, fairly difficult to re-challenge onto.
So one operator that hasn't made the cut is going to be the mute, which is a bit of a surprise. You see the mirror windows, you would expect to see that mute combination to go with it, so then you can keep those mirror windows up and stay away from the hard breachers. What is happening here right now for Outsiders? They've lost 2 players of inside the first minute, and they've got nothing to show for it. Oh dear, Ollie.
Teb's picked up another kill there inside of CCTV. I think Leader got the first. And Teb said, yep, you know what, I'm happy with that. We can dip. We've wasted a bit of time. We've got 2 kills for our troubles. And we've left them with only 1 nade left. No other throwables, by the way. So those magnets are going to come in extremely handy later on into the round. Milon, realizing now that no one's home inside of CCTV, maybe going to try his luck at a little bit of a nade, but the barricade being closed doesn't make it easy. Can, of course, try and thread one through, as always now approaches the breach. The mirror window being smashed out makes things a little bit more difficult for Kayak, and recognizing the advantage that Navi are in, rightly dips himself out.
Minute to go. Outsiders have only just got themselves inside of CCTV room, and they've only just disabled the mirror window, but they have no footing inside of Armory. This time the roam game has worked so well, and it's just because they've got the early picks. Outsiders, the same story as what we've seen in the last round. They've just got no gas to get them into that second gear.
What a fadeaway.
Skiddy drops the hatch and gets the kill on the way down. A 2v4, Rask and Pasha. What can they do? Not a lot, realistically. Ollie, Navi have got themselves out of there, and they can just play the refrags.
35 seconds to go, a Nook and an ace. No Selmas, no nades, a couple of claymores, but they likely won't do all too much. And Navi with the crossfire. Not thirsting after these final couple of kills, they don't need to. The clock's likely going to do a lot of the work for them here. Milon hanging around at the top of metal stairs. He's going to drop down and pick himself one before being immediately traded. Rask pushes himself in, takes down Teb. The Goo Man comes in pretty clutch there, not going to lie. 8 seconds to go. He's going to attempt the plant.
Has to stick it.
Surely somebody from Navi is in hot pursuit here. We are going to see the pinch come through on both sides. Rask immediately downed by Leader. And again, plenty of time to disable that diffuser. 2 plants there for Outsiders and 2 failed attacking rounds off the back of them.
Exact same story, isn't it? Only just the picks gone. Outsiders, I mean, they've done well even in the losing positions to get the plant down.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter, exactly.
Didn't matter when they got the plant down in the other round either. The plant is irrelevant there.
Yep.
Switch of the sides.
So this is where it gets interesting, because the pressure's on Navi. We have to make that clear. We've seen plenty of times in Siege, one team can start off in a good lead in the first half, but then all of a sudden, we see the second half come in, and the team who just got done on the defense all of a sudden start doing it on the defense.
Attackers need to locate and defuse bombs.
Is this where Outsiders come into their own with that sort of very slow and almost frustrating play style? I'm not too sure, because I don't think that Border is that kind of a map. It's not a map that you can really play AFK. You can't really get yourself and just sit on site, because site gets exposed so quickly.
You need to roam. You can't anchor in Border.
Control of key locations. CCTV, it's not up for debate. It's not a question. You need someone in there. You need utility in there, because you lose that. A lot of the attacks for Border pivot and hinge on this single space right here.
5 seconds left before.
You have to extend. You have to try and hold a lot of the map, which, again, this is what I mentioned, the Jenga tower. One piece goes, that's it, because getting refrags is quite difficult on Border, is what we've seen whenever it is mostly attackers pushing into just straight up gunfights. No real, oh, there's a crossfire to my right, there's a crossfire to my left. You are just pushing one direction and just winning the engagement. We've seen that a few times happen with the players upstairs inside of armor. Look at Kayak whenever he was on the castle. How many times did he just sit and hold an angle facing one direction, and that was it.
You have to make a lot of your own crossfires, and that's why we see so much shotgun work on Border, just to create little lines of sight here and there. And that has been done. Nath, we kick things off by opening up detention wall there, just knocking out the second Selma, so it will only just be a line of sight, no opportunity for a defender to leap out and get a little bit slippy.
Outsiders never had any interest in customs if we look at their attacks, Ollie. They were, again, very one-dimensional in what they wanted to take, where I think you can see Navi. They're hitting really everywhere, aren't they? Now they're on bottom east stairs, they're opening up castle barricades, they're creating more crossfires. They're just trying to set up a massive pinch all at once, where they're having a player on each angle, and then you just go 3, 2, 1, and you push in, and you just try and get the kills. Because statistically, you would expect to have at least a couple of players on the bottom 4 for Outsiders. So you're going to have that man advantage up top, aren't you?
Liana Clone gathering plenty of info there. Milon takes the engagement. Nath was trying to jump in off the back of that intel. It's going to lose a part of the hard breach that Navi were bringing here. They do also have the Hibana as backup, and we've already seen a couple of those pellets deployed out there onto the wall into Armory, and we do have a bit of a line of sight here as well into Archives. Navi are just stalling out for a moment, though. It doesn't look like there's a entirely clear ball. I kind of feel that Nath pushing in off the back of that Iana drone was
stunned them, yeah.
Planned to go a little bit differently there, and was just a little bit aggressive with no opportunity for a refrag.
It looks as if they're going to try and push into Workshop via bathroom, and then leave one player upstairs to try and stop the horde from being unleashed, which, as soon as Outsiders know that Navi's in the site, we will just see everything being thrown into that. You'll have the players rushing upstairs, try and use the hatch control, retake east stairs. You're putting a lot of pressure on Teb to do that.
Teb's got a big job ahead of him, for sure. We did also see a couple of sneaky frost mats placed as well at the start of the round, and obviously now Navi with guns up. There's a likelihood that one of them falls victim to that, but that's a great pick there from Kayak. He's going to push himself through, but the Frostmat comes through them. I thought he might have seen that one. It was horrible, just placed by the doorway. A real kick there for Kayak. Should be getting picked up here. Pasha will have the audio cue though, and we're going to see a peek off the back of it. Skiddy trying to be that force, trying to brute his way in through sight. The Bulletproof will call him out. Doesn't find the first. 6 seconds left. Teb, what can you do as the Buck? He's getting shot from everywhere. Look at the cross on that final kill.
Frostmat ensues the chaos.
Frostmat's win rounds demo.
Fast Ann, they'll be loving that, Ollie. She'll be loving that.
I called it. I thought it'd be shot. I honestly thought it would have been taken out.
It's so bad it works.
Teb was inside of main lobby at the start of the round. I'm not criticising him for not seeing it. I didn't see where he got in from. I'm not sure if he came in from passport or something.
Well, he got in waiting and he just opened up the castle barricade.
He destroyed the castle barricade.
I don't think he actually
away.
looked in bathroom.
I don't think he looked that way, but you could just see it peeking out from the door frame.
Attackers need to locate and defuse as many bombs.
Well. I mean, this was... I don't know. It seemed to be that Iana had kind of checked Brazil and then ran around to the kind of little bit of a pillar and then seen the alibi. I don't know if there's a miscommunication. Maybe there's a 1 second off there from Nathan. But if someone's in Brazil, you wouldn't expect Nathan to be jumping in there by himself. So I would say there was something going on there, because that was, first of all, a very strange play that we have to talk about. It's just that first kill that Nathan gave away for absolutely pennies.
Especially given that there was still nades available. I think Skitty still had a couple of nades right up until the end of the round there.
Yeah.
The fact that we're not seeing that player just naded out, there should be a Hail Mary of util going in onto that spot, because there wasn't loads protecting them.
The Frost is back in again.
Well, it's worked, hasn't it?
I mean, Dan hasn't had the greatest of games, Ollie, but the Frost match, what more can you say?
Oh, you can't put the Frost mats into a spreadsheet demo. Their value is, they're priceless.
Interesting to see Outsiders staying away from Armory. They're going to go for another bottom floor defense. This time, Custom and Tellers is where they're headed. For the most part, the attacks for Custom and Tellers has been very centric around East Stairs. You try and take control of East Stairs, you hold the cutoff from Office, and you actually try and plant where the single wall is inside of Tellers. Easy, take us down just so we can have a look at that single wall. See just in that corner where that frost mat is? That has been the go-to plant position that we're seeing now inside a border. So I wonder if that's the approach that Navi's going to go for. I assume it will be, because you're bringing the Flores. Great operator for that. You can open up the wall. You can get rid of any castle barricades that may be skirted around on some of the windows. And also it's going to be good for actually a bit of an East Stairs hold. We're seeing just a single shield with an alibi, and that will be very swiftly taken out. So yeah, I think Navi, they're going to opt for that take.
A lot of value out of the Rotero drones in this round for Nate. He's already got the castle barricade open and been able to remove that shield. Does just give Milon a little bit less security at this top of East Stairs position. Skitty. He will be below. Doesn't know how close he is there. It's one of those occasions where you're just bidding them to pull the trigger. But he can start ripping open that floor at a moment's notice. Leader, this time he's going to be the first to fall. It seems like there's a bit of a curse on Ace demo. It was Nathan the previous round, and it's Leader inside of this one. And this time, that's the only hard breach that Navi are bringing. Granted, they don't need it for the actual site, but it is going to be handy to try and get things open before that.
Yeah, it's a bit all over the place from Navi. I thought they were going to go minimalistic, just take East Stairs and go for that push, but instead they're actually up for the fight against Outsiders. They are very spread out. Skitty, as we know, has just been ambling around downstairs for quite a while. There's a yellow ping, so he does know someone's on the other side of the wall, but it's very tense at the moment. As long as Dan's alive, Navi can't really get anything going, and then Dan goes for a swing and gives it all up.
Tep picks up a great kill there. It alleviates some of the pressure on Skitty downstairs. He can now focus on other things. He's conscious of the player not only behind the reinforced wall, but he also doesn't want to get dropped on from above. Any rotating defenders at this point are likely going to try and use this hatch to get themselves back down to that ground floor and look to work a little bit further. Skitty, however, will pick up that kill. Milon is able to trade as Kayak actually gets caught out quite deep inside of the site. Milon at the bottom of these East Stairs now looks to try and pivot his way through. Quick little revive here. There's plenty of time for Outsiders to get this one off, but the site has been given up. Milon looks away at the wrong moment, and that's going to allow the plant to go down. Nath, under the cover here, is going to be able to get it down. Skitty picks up his second, keeping this plant secure. Now you've got to fight your way through this room. Skitty is having the round of his life here, picks himself up 3. Can he find the 4th and final kill onto Rask? Rask looking now to peek on through, is going to peek up the downed player in Nath. Nath just laying prone there, trying to keep himself alive and give a little bit of information. It's made Skitty's job a little bit harder here. Thinks about the skeleton key, but double doubts himself, Demo. Rask nails Skitty. Plenty of time to disable the diffuser. What a pickup, what a round there from Rask.
Oh, Skitty done so much of the work. Very strange round from Navi. Didn't really know what they were going for. It was kind of a bit of everything. They had some customs presence, guy in armory, pushing into the bathroom. It's, yeah, all over the gaff. Skitty, I thought he had it, good position, could have actually sat there just with a shotgun, swings around, shotgun's going to blast him at that range, but just, I don't know, Skitty was indecisive there, loses 1v1, and Rask picks it up, great 1v2, great heads up, going for the prone player, as we've seen the kill before getting Skitty.
how heavily can we criticize Skiddy there? Because he'd already picked up a couple of kills. He'd already ensured the plant went down. He got a kill onto Milan, I think it was, whilst Nath was getting the diffuser down. There's got to become a point there where you go, why has Nath let that go into a 1 versus 1?
I want to bring it back to the point of what's happening with the opening death, should I say, for Navi, because that's twice where an ace is just out of it. Just 2 simple kills in both rounds.
Ace on the entry.
It's been easy for outsiders. I mean, sure, hard breach isn't the biggest issue for Border, but still, giving away those early picks is an issue. We've seen that outsiders, if they lose the early pick on the attacks, I think you can say that for a lot of teams, if you lose that first opening engagement on Border, it becomes so much more difficult. Just the way it is on Border, because you need the refrags, you need more manpower. We've mentioned before that it's all about kills on Border. That's what it comes down to.
It's regardless of the utility that you bring in most of the time. You know, you might say on a map like Clubhouse, for example, if you lose your hard breacher, you know, you're in a bad place. But on Border, it doesn't matter who you lose because you just need a gun.
That's it. It's all about guns, and you need as many as you can.
Little tactical time out there from Navi.
It was needed. I think it was starting to look quite grim. You need to make sure you can shut down outsiders, because we know whenever outsiders get going, they're just on their day. Some team. And again, Navi, obviously, I don't think in the grand scheme of things that top 4 is a make or break for this team in this season. We have to keep that in mind. You know, getting the major isn't going to define who they are. Next year will define who this team is, because we know it's all about building the foundations, and they've shown us some good seeds, but they've also shown us weaknesses.
Outside have been able to pick up 2 rounds here on the defense. Let's see if they can make it 3 here. Going to be seeing the Echo this time. There has been quite a focus from both sides of getting the plant down. Those Yokais are going to provide some much-needed information here, something that potentially outsiders have been lacking a little bit.
So we seen Nath on the ace, died first. We've seen Leader on the ace, died first. Kayak, no pressure. No pressure.
Kayak's just going to hold my beer. I'll show you how it's done.
Watch him get the opening pick. That's how it's done, boys.
Well, we'll certainly find out if it is the ace curse or not.
It's a close game. Look at the kills on either team. I mean, look at the consistency from Navi. Everyone getting 6 kills at least.
That's what you want out the side, don't you? If this was a sort of game where it was just Skiddy popping off, or if there was just one person that was getting all of the, there'd be a problem. But I think everyone's performed when they had to. There's just been some very slight mistakes that have caused them a couple of problems. Leader, he's got control of East Stairs, and we're seeing a bit of util thrown there into Break Room and CCTV. So Navi, as ever, that focus is going to be on gaining control of CCTV and starting to use that as a little bit of a beachhead. Fortunately for them, there are no defenders located there. You can see all the defenders in one picture at the moment, all on the same level. Crossfires now starting to come through. Some pre-fires are exchanged, but outsiders have almost retreated into this very passive playstyle demo.
And that's what you do on top floor. You just sit back, relax. I love the rotation from Nath, though. We see him kind of out towards the vents, maybe rotating towards a single window. He could go for the rappel, but just this level of pressure that you can apply, it means that outsiders don't have the same flexibility of being able to move from room to room in the bomb site. You now have to be very careful of what you're going to go for. They have now somebody on the sandwich rappel. They have Nath there. They're looking just for a default armory plant. They have Skiddy below to stop C4s. Anyone from outsiders home? There's nobody really in the hot seat that you can say can deny that. Dan has to swing, doesn't have, it's not as if it's a smoke or has a C4. This is tricky, but nailed with that nade. Teb sees somebody skirt across. That Claymore should be able to get a kill, and yes, it will from Nath. We've seen him put down there earlier. Great pick on the Echo Cam. Outsiders not ready for a default plant.
Criminal. Pasha, maybe thinking about a double dip. Maybe going to throw himself out of the window as well. He knows there's no Claymore now, at least. Isn't going to be able to catch Nath as he just makes his way onto the roof at the right time. Kayak, he picks up his second on the round. Rask, he's in the hot seat. Caught out there on 90. Bit of no man's land there, really. Not got much of a chance. Navi getting the default plant down. Very difficult to retake that plant as well. And that's one of the reasons why we say that Border is a little bit attacker-sided, because you can just get away with some of those quick pocket plays.
And we mentioned it before. It's all about being able to see Border, see the weaknesses in what the defense is setting up. Navi took a look at that and said, all right, they have about 5 people towards office. Let's just go and plant on the other site.
Drone out CCTV. No, it's clear.
No echo cam.
One person below.
No echo cam in position.
Nope.
I don't know how Outsiders have allowed something so default to happen. It's probably the biggest surprise. Was there even any feet holes on the double
No one playing in box, yeah.
There was nothing.
Yep.
Very, very strange. But all credit to Navi, they see the weaknesses, they go for it, they commit.
And the thing is, it worked perfectly because they'd just taken a timeout. They then get almost gifted an opportunity at a default plan, which comes off for them. And now they can just ride that momentum and continue, hopefully for them, to build something off the back of it. Outsiders, a little bit stunned. Back down to Workshop we go. They're not choosing to go upstairs again. They have the opportunity to go back up to Armory, of course, but they aren't going to go there. Instead, they're going to opt for this Workshop site. I'm going to see a little bit of a change again. Getting the Doc this time. Is Doc going to be the answer to Dan's prayers demo?
He's 2 and 8.
Little 2 and 8.
Has he got the P90 or has he got the MP5? That's the question. What are you a fan of, P90 or MP5, Ollie?
I think I like the MP5.
He's went for the MP5. Honestly, P90 is quite a vibe at the moment.
I think the MP5 is nice because it's shared, so it's other people have got the MP5, so you know you're not sort of reviving the P90 from the depths.
P90, fun gun, very, very fun. Speaking of an MP5, Melissi has her own, and oh, Skitty immediately shuts down Rask, an opening pick for Navi. That's a great way to open things up.
Not all the time that we see Navi on that opening pick.
It's a swift attack from Navi, isn't it? Look how quick they're in.
I think the confidence from the previous round is just, really propelling them forward. That timeout has obviously worked quite well for them.
Oh,
Milan
Nath again!
gets himself a nice little freebie onto Nath. Nath getting really unfortunate on the timing there, realistically.
I don't know. Where's
the ace curse coming in? Eventually, we see the player picked off, as Skitty will refrag that as well. It's his second on the round. Fortunately for Navi, they can still rely on Kayak for a little bit of that hard breach.
I mean, they have ripped open most of the walls inside of Office, and they're looking just to apply the pressure onto Outsiders. And Outsiders, whenever you are that man down, is it the best idea for Pasha to stay up? Oh, maybe not so, and he will be downed. That's the thing, whenever you're in that deficit, things can go, from bad to okay, or they can go from bad to worse.
Skitty, keen to confirm that triple kill. He's going to use a nade to secure the already downed player. Didn't want to leave any Doc stim pistols through the floor.
Right down at showtime.
Chance.
Showtime, here we go.
Dan and Always, they've got a lot to do. Doesn't look like they're working off too much info, I'll be honest with you.
Always?
Always, hello. You're getting shot from the double door. You can't stand there, my friend. There might be people above, but there are also people still outside. Dan, it's like whack-a-mole. Which line of sight do you look through? He's currently opting for the hatch. He gets droned, then makes his way out, but he isn't even going to get outside of the door demo. Teb, I'm going to pick up a kill inside of that round as well, and it's going to put Navi onto a match point.
Probably the most dominant round I think Navi's had. Just tore through them.
Different team after the
knife and
timeout.
butter. Again, I have to come back to it. How's Nathan getting swung? Where's the drone work from Navi? How's that been allowed to happen? I have to come back to that.
Not entirely sure. I think, was there an expectation that Skitty was there to cover it a little bit? Because Skitty was in a position to refrag at some point.
Right.
Maybe Skitty was just caught looking wrong place, wrong time, and Nate thought he was doing something else.
Can you really cover somebody if you're both in the same door?
I mean, Skitty was playing the window.
Window can't... What window?
Window at the top. Window on the balcony.
Which one? There's two.
There's
the catwalk one or the CCTV
one.
That can't see that angle.
No, but I'm wondering if there was an expectation of an Iana clone going in and droning it out, or Skitty hopping in. There was obviously a desync in there at some point.
I don't know. Shaky.
It's the ace curse, I'm telling you.
And the character didn't have an issue.
Yeah, but that's the yak.
6-4 for Navi. They secure themselves at least a point to keep them in the running to get that top 4. Outsiders... That timeout from Navi, they've came back and Outsiders are just stunned. Just stone cold. Steve Austin's walked in, hit them, stunner, bang.
Let's see if Outsiders can say the same. They have just taken their tactical timeout. Navi guaranteed some points out of this one, which, as we know from the graphic earlier, was a huge swing for them in the grand scheme of things. See that an overtime win for Navi would see them at 11%. However, a regulation win would see them at 33%. On the flip side, an overtime win for Outsiders would see them at 25%. And there is no chance now of Outsiders getting a regulation win, which would have been 43. So for Navi, they've got a couple of rounds here to walk away with all of the spoils.
Attackers are heading out to the bomb.
Unless Outsiders have a serious chat inside of that timeout. I'm not sure I see it happening, Demo.
Navi's had a chat during the timeout because they are going to go for a fun one, is what we like to call this. It's going to be the old classic plant with the Monty. Hope that nobody gets C4'd. Oh, this can, again, go so well. We can sit there and say, wow, brilliant from Navi, a classic attack. Or it could be one C4 and it's over and it's done. We're sitting there criticizing Navi. What are you doing? What are you doing that for? You're playing such good Siege and you've thrown out the window.
I hate this. Teb's going to get caught in
Here we
Frostmat
go.
instantly.
No C4 from below. What's he?
Frostmat,
there we
see
go,
you later.
always.
We are going to see the plant go down. Kayak picks up a kill on to
Always.
Dan. The plant is going to be
It's been-
successful there.
it's
Always
been
is actually
denied.
directly below. No, it's not. It's gone. The
It's been
plant's
denied by
down.
an EMP grenade, Ollie. It got EMP grenade. He couldn't blow it up.
It looks as though Navi are going to have a tough time trying to hold on to this. We're still seeing the gridlocks flooding on through. You've still got to try and keep hold of this. Leader, laid down outside. Quick little run out there from Rask. Is going to see Skitty gifted a kill as he barrel stuffs him. The Monty can provide all the information he needs to Skitty. Nath, all he's got to do is keep himself alive and keep those pings and those comms coming. Nath will take a little bit of damage here. He's not in an impenetrable position. Leader grabs a kill over onto Pasha, and Skitty pops up out of nowhere, picks himself up too. Navi, they get away with it.
Oh, the
Frostmat
classic.
kill or not, it will not matter. We've criticised Navi for bringing Monty on those match points. I remember a couple of weeks ago on Clubhouse, they attempted the same thing and it didn't work. This time on Border, it worked perfectly for them.
And that's one of the best feelings winning around like that, isn't it? You know, the Monty, which we know can just go up in flames, which, I'll be honest, did you I don't think you clocked it, Ollie. He went for the C4 below onto the Monty, and a perfect EMP grenade stunned it. You can't make it up.
Timing. I would love to sit here and say that Navi planned that EMP grenade for that exact
Oh,
moment.
look, they probably did.
They probably did.
But honestly, they probably did.
But it worked out exceptionally well. We know that not only the radius, but the timer on those EMP grenades is exceptionally short. Always probably sat there thinking, what the
Always
heck's
was
going
trying
on?
to shotgun it to get it back up again. He's trying to shotgun it so it falls down. He picks it back up, but they're done at that stage. You're never going to get it off in time.
Nice to see a couple of pocket rounds from Navi there as well. You know, we saw the really good initiative we saw on the default plant, on the Armory attempt, and then that second time on the Armory there. Sure, you know, the Amari getting caught in the Frostmat. It was one of those things where, you know, Outsiders have played Frost every single time. But more importantly, not only did the plant go down, but the teamwork and the coordination was there. And a bit of a shout out to Skitty. I think he popped off there. He ended up with 12 kills, and he didn't have the greatest start of things. Navi getting the job done there against Outsiders. We're going to throw this one back to our desk, and they're going to break that one down.